All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our annual alumni panel session. And before I begin, I just want to introduce our superintendent of schools. How about a warm welcome for Dr. Summit Bangia, who is also, by the way, a 1997 graduate of Mount Olive High School. Let's go on record of putting that out there. So she's very proud of this community and very proud of this district. We've run this program year after year. We're bringing it back now that we're in a sense of a constant flow, and we're getting back to the habits of learning and high levels of expectations. And a part of that is hearing from the great work that our graduates have done when they were students here, and then where they are now, and how well prepared they feel they have been coming through this system and the wonderful experiences that they've had at college and university during the first semester. So we're very excited about having them come back and share their stories. So before we begin with some of the first questions, I would like the panelists to pass the microphone around and introduce themselves, the school that they're attending, and then a pathway or a major that they're interested in or that they've already declared. And it's okay if they haven't, because we talk about that because there's a lot of requirements in the first semester, but they may have already started some of their programming. So without further ado, if we could start right here on the front corner with the microphone, introduce yourself, your school, and what you plan on studying.
Hi, I'm Skylar Peach. I go to the University of Delaware, and I'm majoring in hospitality business management.
Great.
Hi, I'm Savannah McLaughlin. I also go to University of Delaware, and I'm right now business undecided, but I'm going to declare to marketing and minoring in either journalism or management.
Hi guys, I'm Lauren Herzig. I attend Elon University, and I'm majoring in music production and recording arts.
Hi, I'm Keiko Takahashi. I'm majoring in animation. I have to choose between 2D and 3D, and I'm at RIT, if you can't tell.
Hi, my name is Lara Groskopf. I go to Cornell University, and I'm majoring in applied economics and management.
Hi, my name is Vidika Ramchandani. I'm going to Rutgers, New Brunswick, and I'm planning on majoring in information technology and informatics with a minor in cognitive science and psychology.
Hi, my name is Daria Kuku. I go to Leiden University, and I'm majoring in world politics.
Hi, I'm Mandy Fenton. I go to Sacred Heart University. I'm an exercise science major, and I'm on the 3+2 accelerated athletic training path.
Hi, I'm Drew Rugger-Raman. I go to Princeton University, and I'm majoring in operations research and financial engineering.
Hi, I'm Jake McCreary. I go to Montclair State University, and I'm majoring in music education.
Hi, my name is Kayla Marvin. I go to County College of Morris, and I'm majoring in music education.
Hi, my name is Colin Riviello. I'm going to Lehigh University, and I'm planning on studying finance or accounting.
My name is Carlos Lemos. I'm going to Fairleigh Dickinson University in Florham Park, and I'm taking film and animation.
Hello, I'm Lucas Reyna. I'm at NGIT. I'm currently studying mechanical engineering and a minor in robotics.
All right, how about a big round of applause for the class of 2023? Excellent start. Absolutely fantastic. You see a wide range of schools, wide range of majors, and really that's what we wanted represented today because they're going to be able to tell some interesting storylines. So let's start off with the first question. When should students begin considering formulating their game plan for their future and their post-secondary endeavors? When did that start for you, and what do you recommend? Were you on time, or should you have started earlier, or you started too early and things changed? So what do you think? Who would like to take that on as the first? Luke, go ahead.
So I guess a little story, well, first as a little advice, I think you should start considering if you want to go to college or what you want to study somewhere around high school, I think. So at least you can start experimenting, seeing what you want to do. A little story for me, I knew I wanted to do engineering around 5th grade when I saw the robotics team here. It was really until around high school when I started formulating on what kind of engineering, what I want to do, which I settled on mechanical.
Somebody else? Go ahead, Amanda.
Also, if you're playing a sport in college, a lot of times I played club soccer, they'll tell you that you have to start creating a profile on recruiting stuff at freshman year you kind of start, and then sophomore year is the big season to get recruited, sophomore, junior year. So if you're planning on playing a sport, you kind of have to like sort of have it figured out, but not completely. Like, so like kind of have an idea of what you want to do because some schools don't have certain majors.
Good point. Go ahead, Vidika.
I would say definitely high school, and starting ninth grade, you can start like preparing and working your way up. So like making sure your grades are good and your GPA is good. But the start of 11th grade, you really want to have like a brief list of just schools you're interested in. Doesn't have to be final or anything, just so that all your actions like standardized testing or your classes like AP classes or just even GPA and grades can work your way towards those colleges. Because you want to be prepared for them so that you're not like last minute in senior year realizing that your colleges need certain things that you do not have. So definitely like early 11th grade would be a good idea.
Okay, Daria?
Yeah, I was gonna say I had a very different story. Like I would hear this like, oh, in ninth grade or something, you'd have to get ready, and I was very panicked. I had no idea what I wanted to do. But I would say by like summer of junior year, that's where I really figured out what I wanted to do and stuff. But as Vidika said, definitely watch your grades throughout all your years. Of course, join clubs, do things like that. Do general things that will prepare you for college. But then if you don't know exactly where you want to go or what major you want to do, truly, I would say up until like beginning of senior year, if you still don't know, you're fine. You'll figure it out.
Okay, go ahead, Drew.
My recommendation is always to be earlier. It never hurts. Like you don't really have an issue of locking yourself into a program because it's very hard to commit before your junior year. So in ninth grade itself, if you can start just coming up with ideas about what you're interested in, that's one step ahead. My recommendation is always to go for like a career focus. So don't think as much about like your specific major or what you're going to be studying exactly in college because that's variable for everyone. And the whole point of college is to do a little bit of exploration. But if you know career-wise, like what you want your job title to be, that's a great place to start, and that'll help you narrow down your decisions and start preparing your resume. And that way you can look at, taking those standardized tests that those colleges expect, doing those after-school activities, whatever extracurriculars it takes. If you can take any standardized testing early, like a PSAT 10 or an NMSQT, that always puts you just ahead of the game, and it makes your junior year a lot easier and a lot less stressful.
Great. Somebody else want to handle that one? Anybody else?
So I remember, like in 9th and 10th grade, I had no idea what I wanted to do, right? So I think for like 9th graders and 10th graders, I think it's best to like kind of explore your interests, explore what you want to do. And then by 11th and 12th grade, that's when you really start searching for colleges and touring and seeing what you want to do, what kind of campus you want to do, or if you don't even want to go to college, you just find a different path. And that's what I would say.
Okay. Ms. Tashioki?
So me personally, I was a little bit late. I started scrambling to figure out what I wanted to do senior year. It was really stressful. So I definitely recommend at least junior year. Don't put a ton of pressure on yourself because I think when I was younger and I entered high school, I was like, oh my gosh, all these seniors know exactly what they want to do. I don't. I need to figure it out. And then I didn't. You will be fine if you do that. A little bit stressful, but it's okay. Don't be like, I'm past 9th grade, oh my gosh, I still have no idea. Like, it's all right. Even like after senior year, if you want to take a gap year, that's totally okay. But as long as you take the time to do what you want, I took my time. I think I'm pretty okay. I'm doing good. Don't put a ton of pressure on yourself. Just, I don't know, listen to yourself.
Good. Very good. Anybody else have anything to contribute to that one? No, it's a great question. It's a great start, because you saw the starting points vary, right? Some started right away freshman year. Some were still finding their way, going through that journey of self-discovery, right, by taking a lot of different courses. That's why we actually do a lot of semester courses so that you can fit them into your schedule and see what you like, what you don't like. So those are some great, great answers. And then also being involved in as many student activities as you possibly can, something that might pique your interest, because you never know where some of these experiences are going to take you, for sure. So let's move into some similar questions here. There's two that I'm probably going to fold together. So what courses in high school proved to be beneficial in your first semester, something that you might have experienced here that definitely carried, and then you can actually piggyback that on what or who influenced the selection of your major or area of concentration that might have started here, all right? Who wants to take that one? Go ahead, Mr. Greer.
So a course that really helped me with college was definitely taking an AP Calc class because from what I've heard of my friends in college, math is horrible. The professors are just not that great, and they get so much work. So being able to like get that AP credit to not have to worry about math for the rest of college is like really nice. So if you guys have the availability to take like an AP Calc, AP Psych, any one of those APs, like just one, it really comes a long way.
Great. Somebody else? Go ahead. Ms. Groskopf.
I would say like the most beneficial class for me was AP Research. It's like kind of like a more niche class here, I guess, but it helped me become such a better writer that I use in like all of my classes in college. And like I even had to do like 2 research papers when I was at college, so like I kind of knew how to write it and approach it, and I think that put me ahead of maybe some of my peers. But then also like just being able to talk about like your experience conducting research and writing a paper, I think is a big like help for me personally, like in business, like when I do interviews and stuff. And even with like networking, it's a good experience that I'm able to talk about, and so it's just something that has helped me in like every areas of my college life.
Great. Somebody else? Go ahead. Mr. Colin, go ahead.
Want me to go?
Colin?
Yeah, I'll go.
Yeah, you go.
So for anyone out there that's looking to take any business courses or looking to major in business, I definitely recommend the wonderful business programs that the high school offers. One thing that influenced my decision in possibly going into accounting was definitely Accounting 1 with Mr. Silverstein. He definitely made something that seemed, accounting doesn't normally come across as like a fun topic, but there's definitely, Mr. Silverstein definitely made it into a fun subject and influenced my path in possibly going into accounting. And like everyone else is saying, there's AP classes within the business programs offered here at the high school, so definitely take advantage of those if you're looking to go into business. Like economics, you can get your basic economics out of the way if you're looking to go into business. That's definitely a good way to go.
Hey, Colin. Carlos, go ahead.
So like I remember taking AP Language and Composition, AP Literature and Composition, and AP Music Theory. Even if you don't like get like the AP credit, it's very valuable to have that I guess experience taking an AP course, because it is very much like a college course. Like I was looking at how like the AP Literature course that I took in like 12th grade, and I was kind of seeing the parallels between the way my college professor would act and the way he would grade and the standards he would put me up to, and I was already prepared for that. It's very difficult to, if you only took like college prep classes, or you just kind of like coasted by in high school, barely, I guess, putting in the effort to then go into college and being held up to a higher standard, because it's all on you. No one's going to go and tell you, oh yeah, do your homework, do this, do that. It's up to you. So that's what I would say.
Great. Amanda, go ahead, and then we'll come back over this side.
Kind of going off of what Carlos said, I personally didn't take a single AP in high school, which, like, a lot of people are like, oh, that's gonna, like, you just shot yourself in the foot. But, like, I think, like, once you get to college, like, you kind of have to, like, sit yourself down and be like, I have to go to class, I have to study, I have to try. And, like, for me, I haven't had a problem. Like, my math class was horrible, but that was also, like, kind of the teacher, in my opinion. But, like, for me, Miss Brown's anatomy class, because I knew that I wanted to go into like exercise science, so I made sure that I took that class because I knew that I was gonna have to take anatomy and I was gonna have to take courses where like I was gonna have to know that stuff. And when I took my first exercise science class this semester, like they would like say stuff like vastus medialis, and I was like, I know what that means, but the person next to me was like, oh my God, I have no clue what I'm doing. And then the other thing that Miss Brown told us was that when it comes to like studying, because I think that's the hardest part of college is like getting yourself to study, she would tell us that like when we were learning bones and stuff, like go home and like memorize 5 bones. And that I didn't do that in college, like for my bio class, and then towards the end of the semester when I realized like bio's hard, I was like, and I like sat down and I would go to my lecture and then I would go to my dorm and I'd sit myself down and I'd just go through the slides, and it helped me out a lot. So I feel like just like understanding study habits, and also like don't feel like you have to take an AP class if you're not like willing to like put in all that effort. But you have to understand that like once you get to college, it's gonna be like you have to put in the effort.
Fantastic. Lou, did you have something? You go ahead. You have a microphone? Or, because I'll come back to the front. Go ahead.
Okay, so something that I think made me like a better student in general was taking AP US History, because we had this thing called the take-home test, and this is like a very infamous homework assignment that Mr. Grizz gave us. And basically it's like you have to write 60 paragraphs, and that sounds like absolutely brutal, but I think that kind of taught me not to like procrastinate and like to actually do my work when I was told to do my work. And that's like something that I've learned in college. Like in high school, I feel like teachers are more aligned with when we have assignments. Like if one teacher gives like a test one day, another teacher's probably not gonna give it like that same day. I feel like in high school, that was something that I experienced, but in college, your professors don't know like when you have another exam or when you have so much homework or like when you have an extracurricular. So, and also I don't think they're as understanding either. So I think definitely take AP US History if you still have that opportunity. That's your junior year. So freshmen, take that class because it really like teaches you to just do your work, not procrastinate. And Mr. Grizz is amazing, and it's a blast. Savannah and I had that class together. Very memorable.
Luke, go ahead.
So I also took some APs, mainly AP Calc, helped me a lot in my first semester, but also one other classes that helped me out was actually honors level chemistry. So I had to take chemistry my first semester, and chemistry is a weird science for people that will have to take it or took it already. But Ms. Shaw, I had her for honors chemistry. Although like it was during COVID and it was a little weird, I was actually looking back at my notes a lot during my sophomore year to help me out for this semester.
Great. Go ahead, Savannah.
Yeah, I would going back to kind of what Lauren was saying about A-Push, I would kind of just recommend like taking like as many APs as you think you can take on. I know some other people might think like that's bad advice, but for me personally, like that was very helpful. I feel like the #1 skill I possess in college that's been really useful is time management, and I feel like that all stemmed from my APs. Like it really helped me like manage everything and not procrastinate, like Lauren was saying before. But specifically, I would say like AP Lit, which I took my senior year, was really helpful for me to like think deeper and better understand like what I'm reading and what I'm writing, as well as A-Push. So I definitely recommend those. And then like more specifically for your major, like I didn't really know what I was majoring in until basically now. I'm still business undecided, so I have to specify it. But I would say like if you know your major, it's very helpful to like go back and like take classes that apply to your major. So like for me, I didn't take econ in high school, and as a business major, it would have been really helpful if I did take econ in high school. So like things like that, kind of like if you are aware of what you want to study, like kind of like mapping it out ahead of time. Another thing that's really helpful is just like, I said A-Push, but like any AP history really helped me, because in college you have to take like gen ed classes as well. And like I had to take history this year, and it was basically just like A-Push and literally freshman year history all over again. And it was really helpful to like already have known that information. So yeah, so my main piece of advice would just be like take APs because they're really helpful.
Go ahead, Lauren.
Also, so when you take an AP, you have to take an exam at the end of the semester, or not the semester, at the end of the school year, and you could transfer those scores if you get a 4 or 5 to like your credits in college. So if you get a 4 or 5, you could get out of a class in college that maybe you don't want to take because you did well on the exam. So like Savannah said, like pretty much everyone said, I think that APs are very worth it, and I think you get a lot out of it in terms of like becoming a better student, adapting to like a larger course load, and I think that just in college in general, it like prepares you more so.
Any other influences about your potential area of concentration or your major? We heard a mix of maybe some teachers who influenced and were great role models in particular areas, like anatomy and physiology or AP history, or in our sciences and our business program. But what drove you? Like, is it looking for gainful employment, or is it something that might be a pursuit of passion, or maybe a combination thereof? So Amanda, why don't you had your hand up on that one? Go ahead.
So I like grew up playing sports and everything, and I have like sprained, fractured, whatever, my ankles, like probably a collective like 8 times. I tore my ACL last year. I've had a lot of concussions, so I was always like in like the doctor's office, and like then when I got to high school, and like PT, I did not like PT in like middle school. When I got to high school and I had to like consistently work with the trainer, like Conroy, Miss Nens, or Labosco, I kind of like realized like, oh, like this is pretty cool. And then once I started to realize like, oh, this is what I want to do, Mr. Conroy was like a huge help. And I actually go to the same school as his daughter, and I'm in the same program as her. And especially like, so there's like a 4+2 program, which means that I like graduate with my undergraduate in 4 years and then do 2 years of my grad school at Sacred Heart. But I'm in the 3+2, so I graduate in 3 years and then 2 more years at Sacred Heart. But I was like really debating like, do I want to be in the 3+2? Because that's like a lot of work. Like I have to take a summer class. I just took a winter class. And I remember I like sat down with Mr. Conroy because his daughter's in the 3+2 program, and he was like, I mean, it's work, but she gets through it. So I was like, he's like, you might as well try, and if you can't do it, you can always like back out. That's the other thing. If you can apply to be in a program, you can always, like my friend's in the PT program at my school, and she's like, I don't even want to be a physical therapist, and she's changing her program. So if you think you know what you want to do, but I'm in the 3+2, and I'm glad that I did it because it's like honestly not that bad.
Great. Go ahead, Colin, and then we'll come down front row.
Going back to what Drew was talking about earlier, and like looking into what you can see yourself doing as a career specifically rather than a major in college, just a little bit of like a story. I originally wanted to go into law and become a lawyer, so some classes I took here were like AP US government, where you can learn about the government systems and stuff like that, and also doing online research about what it takes to become a lawyer, such as the classes you have to take in college, as well as post-college, law school, and the bar test. And that's like some things that you got to do to like help you determine whether you want to do that or decide on something else. So like doing your own research helps, but then also like taking classes that you think would fit your major. And like business classes also were, like I mentioned before, accounting definitely helpful with that, because I have some entrepreneurial spirit. So taking what you know outside of school and then applying it to classes here at Mount Olive, like the accounting classes or even personal finance classes that are required, those can definitely help your career path and your college decisions.
Great. Vidika, and then.
So I started out similar to Colin. I switched because I thought I wanted to do TV production, and that's what I started doing here. So for 3 years, I was doing TV production, but I realized that that might not be like something that I'm fully passionate about. And so I ended up having to write like a list of maybe like some characteristics that I think I possess, and then I ended up just searching up like, okay, well, what careers have these characteristics, you know? And that actually ended up making me find psychology. And then senior year, I tried AP Psych, which I loved, and I realized this is actually probably something I want to at least explore more in college. I wasn't final about it, but I was like, it's something that I like. And so, yeah, I felt like 12th grade, I'm really deciding and switching my like passion, I guess. And I felt late about that. I was like, this is not right, but it's fine. And that's what drove me to go with psychology for college. And now I'm loving it even more. So I would definitely recommend just writing down some characteristics you think you possess, because you can be the most honest about yourself. You know yourself best. So just write those characteristics out and see what it takes from you, or see where it takes you, actually, sorry. Because it'll take you somewhere good, and it'll take you somewhere where you'll be happy.
Great. Ms. Grosskopf, go ahead. Ms. Grosskopf, yep, she had her hand up, yep.
So there was a couple different factors that like went into my major. Again, I'm studying business. So before freshman year, actually, I was researching careers just because I was stressed out already, and I thought I had to know what I wanted to do. And this might seem a little like silly, but I think it was the U.S. Labor Department. They had like a catalog of careers, and I kind of just went through the whole entire list. And I found myself, like all the careers that I was like, oh, like this seems like something I could do, or like this seems like kind of interesting. They were all like business related. So then I like took accounting one in my freshman year, and then I really liked the class, and I joined DECA and FBLA, which if you are interested in business, please join those clubs. Like they're so helpful. And I feel like the clubs themselves were what kind of like solidified my interest in business and also gave me more confidence that I can do that. I was more of a shy person in freshman year, and and business is very much like you need to do a lot of networking and talking, and so I thought that maybe I wouldn't be too good at it, but like joining DECA and FBLA, it forced me to talk to people and get out of my shell, and you have to do like role plays, and so I just did that. And so I would recommend if you think you are interested in something and there's like a club here or there's a class here that's kind of related to it, just take it and just see if you like it, because I think that's like the best way to learn, and you want to like know if you like it before college. I think it's better to take a class here to see if you like it than take a class in college to see if you like it, if that opportunity is available.
Great. Go ahead, right down the row here. Yep.
I definitely agree with that. Take the classes that you think are interesting, get to know what you like, even like maybe you think you like something and then you take the class and you're like, oh, this is not for me. That's what happened with me. Originally, I didn't want to go into animation. I wanted to be a psychopharmacologist because I thought being a doctor sounded cool, and I had that pressure from my parents, get a good job, go to college, do something that everyone thinks is, socially acceptable. And it was actually my teachers and taking some of the classes that I liked. I didn't take a lot of art classes, surprisingly. I'm an art major. I think I took maybe 4 my entire year at high school, but I've always been really good at it. And my teachers would tell me, why aren't you taking more classes? Like, are you thinking about this seriously? You're really good at this. And I was like, no, like, that's not for me. Like, I want to be a doctor. No, that was not the real thing. Actually, it was Miss Larkin, my end of junior year, she pulled me over one time and was like, so what are you taking next year? What's your schedule looking like? And I was like, oh, well, I've got these classes lined up. I'm thinking about maybe work study. And she was like, that's not a good idea. Like, in my opinion, you need to take art classes. You need to take both art classes back to back, have like 2 hours just of art, like, please do it. And I thought about it and I was like, you know what, you're right. I had not just her, but I had like my family telling me that, I had other teachers telling me that, I had friends telling me that. And not that you have to do what everyone tells you what you want to do, but I was like, the people who are around me and know me the best are seeing what I'm not seeing, and they're right, and I knew they were right. So listen to the people around you, but also listen to yourself. Sometimes I wasn't right at first.
Go ahead, Lauren.
I was going to say something very, very similar to Keiko. So basically, I've always been extremely passionate about singing and music and songwriting and just like more of like the creative spectrum of things. And like up until probably like November of my senior year, I was like convinced I wasn't going to do something like music related in college. I was like, oh, this will just be like a side hustle. Like this will kind of just like be in the background. But like I realized that if you pick something that you are passionate about, then you're going to want to do better. You're going to like want to actually, like, obviously you want to try hard, but if you're actually doing something that you love, it's kind of like more so effortless to you. So I think that at the end of the day, like, kind of like you said, like doctor, animation, like both awesome career paths, but at the end of the day, if it's something you want to do, then you're the only person who can like make that happen for yourself. And I think that you should always follow like the career that like you ultimately want to do at the end of the day.
Go ahead, Daria.
Yeah, I was just going to say what really helped for me was just the wide range of classes that you can get here. Like, I remember it was just random classes. For a while, I was like, oh, I'm going to be a forensic science. I know for sure. So then I was like, oh, let me try the forensic science class over here. And I was like, maybe this one's not for me. And then basically, I would say look at the curriculum that Mount Olive offers and then just go to the classes and be like, okay, which classes interest me? And then based on that, I saw that I was personally really attracted to like the social science classes. Like I took AP Psych like Vidika, and then I also took AP Human Geography and all these classes. And I was like, oh, clearly I want to do something with this. Clearly this is where my interests are at. So then for college, I was kind of set. I kind of knew what I wanted to do. And based on all these classes I took here, all of my friends are so jealous when I tell them I took like classes like forensic science or graphic novels or things like that. So I would say really, really take advantage of the curriculum offered here, because for me personally, it really helped like decide what path I wanted to take in college.
So I'm in hospitality because I want to like work with events and be like an event coordinator or a wedding planner, but I did not realize that until literally just before applying. So if you're stressed out about it, like just take a breath and don't stress out about it, because you will figure it out, and you can even go in undecided. But there wasn't really one class that kind of like led me into that major, just because there aren't really like a lot of courses that talk about that. But I just realized over high school, like I love organizing things and like putting things together and helping people. So that's what I wanted to do for other people.
Colin?
I also want to take the time to talk about a career path that doesn't always get as much representation as going to college and then going into the workforce after college. The other day I bumped into a friend who decided to go to vocational school for being a mechanic. And he went into the workforce right after high school. He's now a diesel mechanic at a local landscaper. And he's talking about buying a house soon, and he's really on his way just a year after high school ended. So if you're not so much into taking the AP classes, doing the college application process, I understand there's some of you out there. Don't rule out the fact that you can also go into go to like vocational school and learn more hands-on stuff, especially freshmen, because you're starting out now. You have the time to make that decision and go to vocational school, where you have the half-day program here at the high school. You can go to VOTEC after, like in the afternoon or in the morning, and then come here. You can also do that. And then I also was talking to a friend the other day who went into cosmetology, and she got a job right after high school. She also went to VOTEC. So if you're not so much, I know like most of us here at least, or all of us here, are at a college now, and we're giving you advice on what classes to take to go into college, AP classes, the college application process. You can also consider going into vocational schools and doing more hands-on stuff. There's nothing wrong with doing that.
Yeah, there's no question about that, and I'm glad Colin brought that up, because it's a great segue, because you've heard individualized pathways right here. 2-year school, 4-year school, courses and people that influence them here, deciding on their passions instead of maybe advisement from parents sometimes, which are very difficult, where you're going to make the most money the fastest. At the end of the day, that's not really what it's about. It's what you can do for an extended period of time and make a difference and make major contributions. In that same breath, and we're seeing it more and more often now over the last several years, is students getting into the trades, going to VOTEC, pursuing a career. There are shortages of tradesmen and tradeswomen, electricians, plumbers, HVAC, auto mechanics. So you don't ever want to rule those out. In fact, I'm thinking about what am I going to do when I'm finished here? This is my 35th year in education. I might want to go back and become a welder. You can make $75 an hour, $110 a week per diem. That's a pretty good living. And, we're going to talk about this a little bit later. There is some debt that's included in some of these pathways, right? There's student loans, all right, that have to be considered when you're just making these decisions. I don't want to take away their thunder, but Colin makes a very good point. Yes, we're talking about 2-year and 4-year schools here. Yes, we're talking about what influenced them and things that you should consider when you're a student here. Very briefly, I think we're going to move right into that college admissions application process and any advisement that you may have for our students involving, that process. What did you do? What did you learn from that process? What would you have done differently with the college application process? And then we're going to move into factors that determined why they went and where they went to go to school. Aside from obviously the major that they found at that school, because that's the most important thing. They obviously have to have the major or area of concentration, but there are other factors that figure into these decisions. So let's talk about the application process first. Anybody want to talk about that, Daria? Go ahead. Start us off.
Please start applying early. Applications are very difficult. It truly was the worst time of my life. But if you apply early, you can get it over with quicker. That being said, I did a lot of early action, or whichever one is the non-binding one. I did that a lot, and I think it really helped. By the time January rolled around, I was completely done. I didn't have to apply anymore, so it really takes a weight off your shoulders. So I would just say, please apply early. They can get difficult, especially with the personal essays, and if they have a motivation letter and things like that, it really will. Also, because you have to ask for recommendations from teachers and the guidance counselor, please get them early. You cannot put them under a time pressure. It will be hard for them to then submit it on time. Do not wait until the last minute.
Okay, go ahead, Amanda, and then we'll come down the row.
I was just gonna go off of like the early action thing. I know at least at my school, a lot of times if you depending on the order of who committed to the school will determine which dorm you get put in. They'll give priority to the people that did early decision or early action, which the dorms at my school aren't bad, but there's definitely ones that you would rather be in. And so if you're thinking about that, even if you apply early action or whatever, it doesn't mean that you have to go to that school. And then also you get it over with. I waited a long time, but I don't know, I got through it. So if you end up in that situation, it all works out, so don't worry.
Really quickly, I was just going to say that I definitely agree. Start early. Even if it feels like, it's such a long time from now, there's no point. There's always benefits from starting early. So even if you just create a little schedule, let's just try and get through this part of the personal essay today or something, that will help you so much more than you can imagine, honestly. And don't feel pressured by seeing everybody around you maybe commit early or start applying to colleges that you're not interested in. It's okay. Stick to what you have, stay confident in that. Obviously explore more, but don't feel pressured by others. Find your own little schedule or journey and you'll get through it. Just start early and on time.
Yeah, so, I second what everyone else has said about starting early. Definitely do that. But just a quick comment about early action and early decision. I think this is more about early decision because early action is not binding and a lot of people just do that. But for early decision, I know a lot of people think it will increase their chances of getting in, and a lot of times it does, but there are some cases where I think it hurts people. For me, I think that was a case. Thinking back on it, I think it was a factor in it, because a lot of times there's a harder applicant pool in the early decision round, and so that can make it tougher to get in sometimes. So just think about that. It's not always I have to do early decision because it's my number one choice. You don't have to. But then moving on from that, my biggest piece of advice is to not compare yourself to others. I think I was it's not even just your peers. Definitely don't compare yourself to your peers, but also you see videos online of the stats that got me into here, and this is what I did in high school that got me to this school. And I found myself feeling as though maybe I wouldn't get in just because I didn't do those certain things. And especially with, I mean, I can speak for like the Ivies at least, they really take into consideration like the opportunities that you were given. And so just remember that like not all high schools have the same opportunities, and some people who you're watching online had like other opportunities that you just don't have, and like the schools that you're applying to know that. And then also I think when you compare yourself to people, I think it can be really dangerous then when you go into your essay and you might try to like write things that you think the college wants to hear, but really they just want to hear like you. And thinking back on like the applications that like the schools that I got rejected from, I think it was because in some of the essays, I don't think I was true to myself, especially in the beginning. Like Cornell's the last application I submitted, the last one I wrote, and I think going through the whole process, I was more like in touch with who I was and the story I wanted to tell, and that made my application like one of the best ones that I wrote. And also just like a last comment, if there's like an essay question that you have no idea how to answer, or one that like you feel like annoyed to answer, I know there was some like, I think there was one school, and I forget which one in particular, but the question that they were asking, I didn't like it, and I decided not to apply. And I think there's a difference between like not knowing what to say just because like you didn't like self-reflect enough yet, or you just like you're indecisive, and a question that just doesn't fit who you are. And I think a lot of times like the questions that colleges ask reflect the type of school they are and the type of students that they're looking for. And so I don't think it's a bad thing whatsoever to look at a question and say, you know what, this might not be the school for me, and kind of just decide not to submit that. And that's just like, yeah, a little tip that I have.
All right, I agree with that early decision thing. I did early decision, and though I did get in, I don't think I got as much aid as I did originally. And I did the very first early decision for RIT. They have two, and then they have an early action. So around like late January into February, I knew where I was going and I was committed, right? Because early decision, if they accept you, you're going. There's nothing about that. Unless you really can't afford it, you're going. And I'm glad I'm there. Ultimately, I feel very at home there. But I think if I had waited just a little bit, if I had done like maybe like early decision 2 or like the regular applicant pool, maybe I would have A, gotten a lot more money, or B, I didn't know this at the time of applying, but there was an art show my senior year, and colleges were looking through and they were offering scholarships, and I won massive scholarships to other schools, which I couldn't accept because I'm already going to RIT. And again, I'm very glad I'm here, but that could have looked a little bit different for me, and I could be going to school for nothing if I had just waited a little bit.
Carlos, let's just jump back to the back row. Go ahead, Carlos.
Okay. I think in my case, I'm part of the first generation born in America, and also with that, the college like application process was a very new thing. So I did most of the college application process myself, but I also had help. And part of that help was being in the community of students and helping each other. And I think motivating, I guess, all of us to, I guess, collaborate with each other and help us like kind of finish that process. I remember during tag or during study hall, we would take the time, instead of doing homework, just to kind of like work on our college application. And I think that helped me a lot because especially for me, it was like, whoa, what the heck am I doing, you know? So you guys got to remember that you guys are a community. You guys don't have to like each other or whatever, but you guys have to help each other because you're a community. And you guys don't always have to be an island to yourselves. You can have help. You don't always have to do things alone. And that's what I would say.
That's great advisement. Go ahead, Lou, and then we'll go to Colin and back to Lauren. Go ahead, Lou. Go ahead first.
So just like Carlos, I was one of the first generation born in America too. So my mom was the only one that went to college. She was an immigrant from Portugal. So obviously, really in terms of like helping out for my family, she wasn't there all the time. So I was on my own. Actually, during one of my classes for Robotics 3, me and my friends, actually no, 4, we were all in the robotics room instead of doing work. Mr. Beery didn't like that. We were doing that kind of. Of course, helping each other since we were all going to similar majors of engineering. But I guess 2 little bits of advice I'd like to say about applications, because I have from both of my friends. So one of my friends only applied to one college, didn't get into that. He is at community college right now and doing good. But obviously, one thing is have a safety school and apply to multiple ones, because in case if you don't get into the one that you want to get into, you have other options. And the other one is make sure you know when each of the applications are due. You're going to learn that there's something called Common App, I think it's called, that you have to do in, but many other colleges also have an additional portal that you have to do, and many people in my grade weren't aware that there was an additional portal about it. It tells you on Common App there's an additional portal, so you don't have to go more into that.
That's great advisement. Colin?
So while I can't relate to the what Carlos and I'm sorry. Well, I can't relate what they went through with their parents being immigrants or not originally from America. What I can say is my parents' college experience, they both went to college. My dad went to King's and my mom went to a school in the city. Their experiences are severely antiquated with the modern day. They were filling out their applications with typewriters, handwritten pieces of paper, and in these days it's so much easier. That's not what you think about when you apply to colleges. So what I will say is most colleges have the Common App. Some don't. You'll have to do subsequent research to figure out which ones don't. But when it comes to filling out the Common App, do the busy work, like your name, your address, your parents' information, your phone number. Do the busy work when you have nothing else to do, especially like if you don't have a job and you have spare time outside of school. Take care of the busy work then so you're not worrying about the busy work when it's crunch time and you're writing your essays. And then going off of the essays, I know Lara mentioned like speaking like it's like making it sound like it's you. I know in 11th grade I wrote my first draft of the college essay, like the whole long essay, and then my family hired an advisor to help with the essay writing process, and her advice was to delete the entire essay that I wrote in school and rewrite it with a different story. And instead of using the conventional introduction academic writing where you use to begin with and you list your thesis and your claims and such, write it as if you're talking to someone else, like talking in front of someone. Use words that might not be so academic but aren't like, make it sound like you're talking to someone. Don't make it sound like an academic paper. Of course, take that with a grain of salt, but like make the essay sound like it's coming from you, your heart, whatever. Make it sound like you.
Okay. Lauren, go ahead.
Something else about like the personal essay is I think that it's one of the most important factors of getting into a school. Like, of course, you have your standardized tests and you have like all your grades, your GPA. But the thing is, like, the personal essay is something that's like coming straight from you, and it's like, it's your story. And when these people are reading it, it's like unique to you. So I think that that's something that you definitely want to take a lot of time and like care with. And I would start very early. I think that you start at the end of your junior year. I'm pretty sure, but I think that I probably like reconstructed my personal essay like 5 times, and I did not know what I was going to write about, and I would like literally write a whole thing, kind of like Colin just said, and then I would be like, okay, no, I have to restart this whole thing. But the thing is, like, at the end of the day, like, that is like your baby. Like, that's something that you want to submit to the colleges and be proud of, and I think that that's something that you should definitely like start early and start considering like topics that you want to write about.
This kind of goes back to what Vidika was saying earlier when you were saying like how it's like a lot sooner than you think. Like you kind of have to start early. That would be my #1 piece of advice. I feel like when I was going on college tours and stuff, I don't know if any juniors are also doing this, but when I was going on college tours, I feel like I wasn't taking it as seriously as I should. I was just like, oh, like this is a fun way to like get out of school and like see like a school, but like I wasn't really considering if that's a place I would have wanted to go. So that's something that I wish I did more. I applied to 16 schools, which is a lot, and I do recommend applying to a lot if you can. But at the same time, really apply to the ones that you actually think you would consider, because at the end of the day, I feel like I was applying to schools that I kind of knew like I was never really going to go to. And the other thing with starting early is like when it comes to the Common App, I feel like I didn't really know what the Common App was when I was your guys' grade, but it's basically like all like the busy work, like you were saying, Colin, but it's also like extracurriculars and your essay, like Lauren was saying. And for me, like I was very, very involved in high school, so I felt like my extracurriculars was kind of where I thrived. But my essay, I really struggled with, and a lot of people were kind of saying like this idea, but like the importance of being like authentic. I feel like mine was very calculated. Like I spent so much time doing it and like rewriting it, and there's a lot of pressure surrounding like the college essay. It's like a big thing. So I would encourage people to kind of like think really just like, this is cheesy, but like be true to yourself, because I feel like I was kind of trying to like bring in too much, and it's really just like what you feel like fits the prompt most. Like don't be too hard on yourself with that, because it'll kind of like write itself if you just follow like actually what you think. So that would be my biggest piece of advice.
Yeah. Piggybacking off of Savannah and Colin, I'm glad they brought up the Common App. It's probably one of your best friends during the college application process. It basically, not every school has the Common App, but most do, and it's so nice. Like, if you do want to apply to 16 schools like Savannah, or if you only want to apply to 2, it's really great because they all require the same information that you can just type out in a couple hours, and then as soon as you're ready, you just hit send. But it was mentioned earlier, the recommendation letters, I can't stress that enough. That is something that colleges really look at, especially if you're trying to go into a path that has to do with leadership or something that like sets you out from the group. Recommendation letters definitely help. I haven't read mine. You don't really get to read your recommendation letters, but I have a feeling that they really helped me out in my application process. Also, if you can take junior year English 2 honors, I think that's the one I took that year. Part of that class is writing a college essay, and that really prepared me because it was pretty almost like a copy and paste to the Common App, but in class my essay was about 1,500 words, and the Common App limit is 650. So to almost like cut that to like a third was very difficult, but like Colin was saying, definitely write as if you're talking to someone. Like, read your essay to like your friend or a parent. Like, actually read it out loud, because you might be like, I never say these words, or like, I don't sound like this. So with the Common App and these personalized essays, like, be yourself, because college is, like, you might think, oh, a college will only see me as a number. No. They want to see who you are in the application process, so definitely put who you are into those essays.
Great. Excellent advice. Drew, go ahead, and then we'll go to another question.
So there are like a lot of different approaches to the college game. And like people were saying here, there's a lot of different ways to apply, whether that's early decision, regular decision, early action, or restrictive early action. So talk to your guidance counselor and figure out which one you want to go for first. That'll make your life a lot easier. Things like restrictive early action, for example, are a lot more confusing than they need to be, and that kind of stumped me for a bit. It basically just means you apply to one school, which is REA, and then you get to apply to a state school as well, but you're not bound to either. So things like that, figuring out what your approach is going to be early really helps. The other thing I really push for, because I do a little bit of college counseling as well, make a resume, please. You're going to need it for your job. You're going to need it for, any of the honor societies you apply to if you choose to. It's so useful because you basically get an itemized list of everything that you've done in high school, everything you've done in middle school, all of your job experience, all of your volunteering hours. And when time comes to write your essays, you'll have a lot of essays which are like talk about yourself, your interests, and then ones that are like talk about your academic experiences, talk about your work experiences. And then for me, all I really need to do was I took all the essay prompts, I wrote them on one Google Sheet, I had my resume, I had it in my hand, and I just went and matched information. And then it's a question of just collating it and turning it into something readable. So having that resume in place, it just simplifies so much of the process. Beyond that, like there are like scattershot methods where you apply to a number of different schools. But if you're really confident in like one or two schools and you know that those are the ones you want to go to, write to them. Like for me, I was so intent on going to Princeton, I think around like 8th grade. I was like, yep, that's for me. That's where I want to be. And if I don't make it there, I'll settle for, a state school or, with a scholarship or something. So like my application was a 3-year labor of love because I looked up, what were past year's applications? What was the Common App essay like? What did other Princeton alumni do in their past? And so my application was kind of prepared around sophomore year. And when it came time for junior year, I was just uploading essays to Common App and kicking my feet up. Because you do all that work in advance. And then when everyone else is stressed out junior year trying to figure out their colleges, you kind of get to laugh at them, which is nice. But in all honesty, no, it's the college process is really random. And people with excellent applications can get turned down for all sorts of reasons. And everyone who gets into that college has a different story about how they made it. On my floor, we swap around stories about like what we did with our applications. That's weird. But there's one guy, he lives down the hall. His essay was about capybaras. He was like, I like them. They're cool. They're fluffy. And that was basically I read it. It was crazy. But that's what got him into an Ivy League school. So, when you see everyone out here writing about, here's the time I got an A on an essay in English. Good job. Write about animals. If you like Free Willy, it's a great movie. Put that down. You know what I'm saying? Like, your essay should be very personal. You can talk about the school, include the school motto or something. I don't know. But as everyone has been saying here, it's about yourself. It's not about this ideal college candidate. And they have methods of checking this. Like, a lot of schools will have like an interview option where you'll go and you'll meet with an alumni, and it's like a very casual sit down at Starbucks, at least mine was. And if you show up there and you are nothing like the person you wrote on the paper, they're gonna report that to the school. Like, you don't get around that. So, it helps to write about stories you have, funny things that have happened, make yourself seem interesting. The sort of things you'd say at the lunch, not everything you'd say at the lunch table, but you know what I mean. Like, any funny tales you have from class or times you've screwed things up, because colleges really like to hear about you making mistakes and learning from them. But overall, a lot of people put a lot of stress on themselves in the application period. And the thing that I always try to stress is that all the work that goes into your college application has happened before you applied. Mm-hmm. Like, everything you've done class-wise, everything you've done with your family, everything you've done with volunteering. In the 3 months that you work on your college application, you're not gonna magically become this Albert Einstein genius or whatever. It's almost like your college is set if you believe in determinism, like you're done. At the end of the day, you're just putting yourself down on paper and seeing what they think of you. That's about it.
So this was particular excellent advice for grades 9 and grade 11. And what they were referencing is in that application process, obviously the application in itself, whether it's specific to the university or common. They were also referring to strength of transcript and their course selection. They were also referring to their senior essay, which is a big deal. And you're right, you do start that at the end of your junior year so that when you start your senior year, you can actually continue to polish that essay. And then they also referenced your teacher recommendations, which are also very, very important. And knowing that you've established a relationship and a teacher that would give an honest opinion of your abilities, because they do read those teacher recommendations. I heard someone definitely brought that up during the answer. So how about a huge round of applause for our graduates from the class of 2023. They absolutely did a fantastic job. They will be up here if you want to ask some specific questions. And we thank you for your attention and thank you for signing up for this program, because now you know the cycle in the next couple of years. So thank you once again. Thank you, graduates. You guys are awesome. All right, you guys are free to go. Thank you.